In modern football, there is an idea that repeats itself like an absolute truth. Everything has a price. Players, clubs, coaches, projects, ideals. Everything seems negotiable. Everything seems buyable. And for years, the market reinforced that logic with ever bigger contracts, increasingly unreal figures, and decisions that appeared to be made solely based on money. But every now and then, very rarely, a story appears that breaks that narrative. A decision that doesn't fit. A choice that makes the system uncomfortable. And that is exactly what has just happened with Lionel Messi. Because in the last few hours, news was confirmed that shook the football world. The owner of Al Ittihad publicly revealed that Lionel Messi rejected an offer of $1.4 billion per year to play in Arab football. Not for his entire career, not for several years, per year. And Messi said no. Let's stop for a second at that figure, because it's important to understand what it really means. 400 million euros annually is not just a lot of money. It's a number that outright breaks the language of football. We're talking about more than 3 million euros per day, more than 130,000 euros per hour, more than 2,000 euros per minute. A figure that no footballer, no athlete, no artist had ever had on the table in this way. A figure that exceeds the budgets of historic clubs, entire leagues, and whole sporting structures. And yet, Lionel Messi decided not to accept it. To understand the magnitude of this decision, you have to understand the context in which it appears. Arab football is not improvising. It is not spending money at random or signing contracts without a strategy behind them. For several years now, Gulf countries have been developing a very clear plan to use football as a tool for global positioning, cultural influence, and international projection. It's not just about winning matches, but about winning presence, attention, and legitimacy. First came important players, then established stars, then World Cup champions, and finally, absolute icons of the sport. Cristiano Ronaldo was the first big move. His arrival marked a before and after, not only because of what it meant on the pitch, but because of the message it sent to the world. Arab football was willing to pay whatever it took to attract the biggest names on the planet. Then others arrived: Benzema, Neymar, Kanté, Mané. Each signing reinforced the idea that the project was serious. But Messi was something else. Lionel Messi is not simply a footballer, he is a cultural figure, a global phenomenon that transcends clubs, jerseys, and rivalries. Messi doesn't add. Messi transforms. Wherever he goes, he changes the perception of the environment. He changes interest. He changes the conversation. That's why the offer was so colossal. It wasn't just a sporting contract. It was a strategic investment. Al Ittihad wasn't just looking for goals. It was looking for legitimacy. It was looking for prestige. It was looking to close the circle. And they were willing to pay whatever was necessary to achieve it. The most shocking part of this story is that the information did not come from a rumor or a journalistic leak. It was confirmed by the club owner himself. That means we are talking about a real, concrete, formal proposal. It wasn't smoke. It wasn't speculation. It was an offer on the table. And Messi rejected it. This is where the news stops being just an economic fact and becomes something much deeper. Because Lionel Messi today is not in a position of need. He doesn't play to survive. He doesn't play to secure his future. Messi plays because he wants to. He has every possible title. He has the World Cup. He has the records. He has the recognition. He has economic peace of mind guaranteed for several generations. When someone who has already won everything rejects a figure of this magnitude, the question stops being how much and becomes why. And the answer is not just one. First, there is the personal aspect. Messi has always prioritized his environment, his family, his quality of life. He is not a player who enjoys constant noise or forced changes. Every major decision of his career has been shaped by that criterion. Even when he left Barcelona, he didn't do it for money. He did it because the club could no longer sustain him financially. For years, Messi accepted salary cuts, deferred payments, and staggered contracts to help the club. He never put money above the project. That already set him apart from other great names in football. And this is where the historic rivalry reappears, even without anyone mentioning it directly. Because while Messi was rejecting a record offer from Arab football, Cristiano Ronaldo had taken the opposite path. Cristiano was the first to accept, the first to go, the first to become the emblem of the project. And it's important to say this clearly. Cristiano has every right to do so. Each player chooses their own path. There is no right decision and no wrong one, but there are differences, and those differences fuel a rivalry that has lasted for more than 15 years. Cristiano Ronaldo has always been transparent about his economic ambition. He never hid it. He never disguised it. He spoke about contracts, figures, salary records. He showed himself proud of being the highest paid. Messi, on the other hand, never built his narrative from that place. He never spoke about money as the central axis of his career. He never defined himself by what he earned. That difference, which for years was secondary compared to football debates, now becomes central in the discussion about legacy. Because it's no longer just about goals, titles, or Ballon d'Or awards. It's about decisions, about how each one chose to write the final chapters of their career. Cristiano chose to maximize economic and media impact. Messi chose to preserve coherence with his story. One accepted being the visible face of an emerging project. The other decided not to be part of that construction. And that difference, for many, once again tilts the balance. Another key point in understanding Messi's rejection has to do with the sporting aspect. Messi does not want to retire feeling like he is just going through the motions. He doesn't want to play matches that don't motivate him. He doesn't want the end of his career to be a silent farewell from the highest competitive level. Regardless of what anyone thinks about the MLS or other destinations, Messi continues to choose contexts where he feels his presence has sporting and human meaning. It's not just about money. It's about feeling that there is still something at stake. There is also the issue of legacy. Messi knows, better than anyone, that every decision he makes today will be analyzed for decades. In 20, 30, or 50 years, no one will remember the exact figure he rejected. But they will remember that he could have been the highest paid athlete in history and chose not to be. That fact will appear in books, documentaries, and debates, not as an economic anecdote, but as a definition of character. This rejection also sends a very strong message to modern football. In an era where many young players dream of massive contracts before even consolidating themselves sportingly, Messi shows that another scale of values exists. Not everything can be bought. Not everything can be negotiated. Not everything is worth the same. Money matters, of course it matters, but it doesn't always rule. It's important to clarify something. This no from Messi is not a moral judgment on those who did accept going to Arab football. It's not a criticism of the project. It's not an ideological statement. It's a personal choice. And choosing inevitably implies renouncing something. Messi renounced an impossible figure in order to remain faithful to his way of understanding football and life. Messi's silence is also part of the message. He didn't come out to explain himself. He didn't give interviews. He didn't write statements. He simply went on with his life because he doesn't need to justify anything. His career speaks for him. Meanwhile, the rivalry with Cristiano remains alive, even though it is no longer played out on the pitch. Now it is contested on the terrain of legacy. Two different paths, two different endings, two ways of understanding success. And this rejection adds yet another chapter to that story. Rejecting $1.4 billion per year is not a normal decision. It's not a logical decision from a market perspective. It's not a common decision. It's a decision that only someone who has already won everything can make and who still chooses how they want to be remembered. Messi is not for sale for money. Messi is not defined by figures. Messi does not negotiate his identity. And once again, without raising his voice, without creating scandal, without saying too much, he marked the difference.